Before the fame, before the muscles, before the movies, there was just a boy in a small village in Austria, holding a dream too big for the world around him. Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't born a legend. He was born into a world of war, recovery, poverty, and discipline. His father was a strict police chief, shaped by military values. The environment was cold, not just the weather, but the expectations. Emotion wasn't celebrated, big dreams were dismissed. And yet, something inside him refused to shrink. Every morning, young Arnold woke up early, not because he had to, but because he wanted to be better than yesterday. He started training with homemade weights, studying bodybuilders like Reg Park in secret. To most, these images were fantasy, but to Arnold, they were a blueprint. He once said, "The mind is the limit. As long as the mind can envision the fact that you can do something, you can do it." That's not just motivation, it's a mental tool. Arnold built his life like a sculptor carves a statue, with clarity, vision, and relentless repetition. In psychology, there's a principle called self-efficacy, the belief in one's ability to succeed. Arnold didn't have resources, but he had belief. When you believe you're capable, you start behaving like it. And that behavior attracts the results you once only imagined. But make no mistake, he wasn't supported. In fact, most people laughed at him. A kid with a thick accent, dreaming of becoming Mr. Universe, and later, a Hollywood star. In what world? His own father wanted him to become a police officer. Friends thought he was crazy. Austria didn't understand bodybuilding, let alone Hollywood, yet that rejection became fuel. Arnold didn't argue. He trained. Pain has two faces. One breaks you, the other builds you. Arnold Schwarzenegger chose the second. He trained until the pain became normal, until soreness became a signal of growth. He wasn't chasing comfort, he was chasing control. Control over his body, his mind, and eventually, his future. As a teenager, he entered his first bodybuilding competition. He didn't win, but he didn't quit either. Every failure gave him a data point, not a reason to stop, but a reason to adjust. The gym became his laboratory, his body, the experiment. He visualized himself on the stage of Mr. Olympia long before he got there. He cut out magazine photos and taped them to his walls. Not for decoration, but for programming. Mental rehearsal. It's a technique used by elite performers across sports and psychology. And Arnold did it instinctively. He didn't wait for someone to motivate him. He designed his own belief system and fed it daily. But behind the heavy lifting was something heavier. Isolation. Arnold left his country, left his family, moved to a place where he barely spoke the language. America was not welcoming at first. He was alone, broke, and mocked for his accent. But in every insult, he found leverage. In every struggle, he found identity. According to Viktor Frankl, those who have a why to live can bear almost any how. Arnold's why was bigger than comfort. He wanted to become Long before the Hollywood lights, Arnold was lifting in the dark. No fans, no cameras, no applause. Just the sound of weights crashing and a dream whispering louder than doubt. While other teenagers were out partying or sleeping in, he was at the gym, sculpting, not just his body, but his future. Rep by rep, set by set, brick by brick. In Austria, he was just a kid with strange goals. In America, he was a nobody with an accent. But inside his mind, he was already a champion. He used the pain. He welcomed it, because pain meant progress. Most people train to get through a workout. Arnold trained to own the moment. He didn't count reps. He made every rep count. And it wasn't just physical. Arnold trained his mind too. He studied English relentlessly, watched TV, read newspapers, mimicked accents. He knew if he wanted to win in America, he had to be more than muscle. He had to become marketable. So while others saw just a bodybuilder, he saw a future icon. And that vision came with sacrifice. He missed birthdays, lost relationships, lived far from home, but regret that never showed up, because in his world, every sacrifice had return. According to Napoleon Hill, desire backed by faith knows no such word as impossible. Arnold didn't hope things would happen. He expected them, and then worked until they did. He won Mr. Olympia. Then he won again, and again. Until the title wasn't just a trophy, it was proof that a farm boy from Austria could reprogram destiny. But he wasn't done. Not even close. He once said, "You can't climb the ladder of success with your hands in your pockets." So he looked for the next ladder. Hollywood wasn't built for bodybuilders. It was built for smooth talkers, sharp cheekbones, and charm that fit in a suit. Arnold walked in with none of that, just muscle, a thick Austrian accent, and a name no casting agent could pronounce. They laughed at him. "You'll never be a star. Too bulky, too foreign, too weird." But Arnold, he didn't hear rejection, he heard a challenge. Instead of changing his dream to fit the industry, he changed the industry to fit his dream. The early roles were small. Villains, grunts, background muscle, but every scene he gave it everything, not for fame, for progress. Then came Conan the Barbarian, then the Terminator, and with one line, "I'll be back," Arnold became unforgettable. But what most people don't know is how much preparation went behind that line. He practiced pronunciation for hours, worked with dialect coaches, repeated it hundreds of times. all for a sentence that lasted 2 seconds on screen. That's the mindset. He treated every word like it mattered, because to him, it did. And success followed, not because he was lucky, but because he refused to give up when the world gave him no role. Hollywood didn't open the door, he kicked it down. With discipline, persistence, and a laser focus on becoming more than just a body, he became a brand, an icon, a one-man movement. And as his box office numbers exploded, he proved a universal truth. When preparation meets opportunity, they call it luck. But real ones know, it's hustle in disguise. Before Arnold became a global icon, he was already a millionaire. Not from acting, not from bodybuilding, but from real estate. Yes, while most were focused only on fame, Arnold focused on freedom. He knew Hollywood was risky. He knew muscles wouldn't pay forever. So, in his early days in America, he started buying apartment buildings, using money from exhibitions and small gigs. He read books on investing, studied tax laws, learned from people who were quietly wealthy, not just loud and famous. Most actors waited for roles. Arnold built his own runway. By the time Conan or Terminator hit the screens, he wasn't just flexing muscle, he was flexing mindset. And that mindset was simple. Don't just work for money, make money work for you. That's why he was never desperate for roles. He could afford to say no, and that's where true power lives. While others were trapped in the game, Arnold played it like chess. This taught us something deeper. Greatness isn't just about passion, it's about positioning. He didn't just lift weights, he lifted his thinking. While the world saw dumbbells, he saw leverage. While the world saw cameras, Arnold didn't wait for motivation, he built systems. Everyone talks about hustle, but Arnold was about habit. He once said, "You can have results or excuses, not both." And he lived it, every single day. He trained not because he felt like it, but because it was non-negotiable. He woke up with purpose. He carried a notebook, a plan, a vision. Every hour was accounted for. Every rep had a reason. Every setback was fuel. In his early bodybuilding days, he trained twice a day, 7 days a week. And when others were tired, Arnold trained harder. Why? Because he believed pain was not punishment. It was the price. He never asked, "Why me?" He asked, "What now?" The truth is, Arnold never waited for life to give him energy. He created it through discipline. He didn't need a vision board. His life was the vision. Where others broke down, Arnold built muscle. Physically, mentally, financially. Pain became his language. Routine became his safety net. And while the world was sleeping, Arnold was designing his next move. This is what separates the dreamers from the doers. Arnold didn't just set goals. He became the system that delivered them. And that's the real reason he won. Not just because of what he did, but because of who he became in the process. Arnold's success wasn't luck. It was precision, obsession, and deep belief. But more than that, it was strategy. You see, Arnold didn't just want to be a champion bodybuilder. He wanted to be a global icon, and he reverse engineered it while others were lifting weights. Arnold was also studying English, learning business, understanding media. He knew muscles would make headlines, but media would build a legacy. So what did he do? He entered acting classes. He went to business seminars. He networked with producers, writers, investors, people far beyond the gym. Every rep in the gym was matched with a step in the real world. He was no longer just building biceps, he was building a brand. In his own words, bodybuilding was just the foundation. My real goal was to take over everything, and that's exactly what he did. He took risks, he embraced rejection. He was told his accent would never work in Hollywood. His body was too big, his name too weird. But he smiled, thanked them, and kept moving forward. Arnold played the long game. Where others wanted fame, he wanted forever. And that's why his story isn't just about fitness or fame, it's about vision. One so strong, it couldn't be denied. There's a secret to Arnold Schwarzenegger's story that most people miss. It's not just about the muscles, not just about the movies, it's about momentum. Arnold understood something powerful. When you stack small wins, every day they snowball. He didn't try to become Mr. Olympia overnight. He didn't aim to dominate Hollywood in a week. Instead, he focused on the next rep, the next script, the next speech. Each win gave him the confidence to face the next level of challenge. And here's the truth. That's how real greatness is built, not in loud victories, but in silent patterns. He built momentum like a machine. Wake up early, eat clean, train harder, speak better English, study film roles, invest money wisely. Every habit became a layer in the empire he was building. And when most people would relax after a single success, Arnold asked, "What's next?" That question kept him evolving. From athlete, to actor, to millionaire, to governor. And in a world full of noise, one truth stands out. Momentum multiplies power. Because when you're consistent, the world can't ignore you forever. Behind every great man is a moment when everything could have collapsed. For Arnold Schwarzenegger, that moment came not once, but multiple times. A torn rotator cuff before filming an action movie. Public criticism when he entered politics. Business failures most people never heard about. Family pain that could have broken his spirit. But here's the key. He never let failure define him. Arnold treated pain as part of the process, not the end of the path, he once said. Strength does not come from winning. Your struggles develop your strengths. That mindset changed everything. Most people see obstacles and stop. Arnold saw obstacles as invitations to level up. He studied the lives of other legends. He noticed a pattern. They all went through suffering but came out stronger, clearer, sharper. So when life hit him hard, Arnold didn't play the victim. He adapted. He trained harder. He refocused his mission. He used his pain as fuel, because for him, pain wasn't a punishment, it was a teacher. And this is where the magic happens. When you stop asking why me, and start asking what can I build from this, you evolve, just like he did. Again, and again, and again. By now, Arnold Schwarzenegger had already proven himself in bodybuilding, Hollywood, and even business. But then, he did something that shocked almost everyone. He stepped into politics. No acting script, no camera retakes, no special effects, just raw public service in the harsh spotlight of American governance. People laughed, they called him a joke, said he wasn't smart enough, that he was just a bodybuilder. But once again, Arnold leaned into the pressure. He studied, he surrounded himself with smart advisors. He spoke not as a perfect politician, but as a disciplined leader who had been through real-life tests. He became governor of California, the fifth largest economy in the world. And during tough times, budget crises, natural disasters, political warfare, he stood tall, not because he had all the answers, but because he had what many leaders lacked: resilience, presence, and long-term vision. He didn't run from conflict. He faced it. He didn't pretend to know it all. He listened, learned, and led. And that's what separates loud leaders from lasting ones. Arnold didn't become governor to be liked. He stepped in to serve, to solve, and to stand for something bigger than himself. Even critics had to admit, he wasn't just flexing muscles anymore. He was flexing mental strength and moral courage. This chapter of his life proved one thing: leadership is. So, how did a man with a thick Austrian accent, no political background, and a Hollywood resume win over millions of voters? Simple. He didn't try to be perfect. He tried to be real. Arnold's speeches weren't filled with complex jargon or fake promises. They were filled with stories. Painful stories. Funny stories. Stories people could actually relate to. He spoke about growing up in poverty, about carrying bricks for his father, about dreaming of America while flipping through magazines in a small European village. And when he said, "America gave me everything," people felt it wasn't a line, it was truth. His entire journey became a symbol. If a kid with nothing could come this far, maybe so could we. That's why he connected with factory workers, students, immigrants, even skeptics. He wasn't just building laws, he was building belief. And when the media tried to mock him, he didn't panic. He smiled. He cracked jokes. He owned his flaws. Because confidence isn't pretending to be invincible. It's saying, yes, I have scars, and I'm still standing. This was no longer just the story of muscles, movies, or elections. This was the story of a man who refused to be put in a box. Bodybuilder, actor, businessman, politician, and now, after conquering almost every stage life had to offer Mr. Olympia, Hollywood, the governor's office, Arnold could have easily stepped back, enjoyed his wealth, lived quietly. But he didn't. Instead, he asked a deeper question. What's the point of success if you don't use it to pull others up? That's when a new chapter began, not about power, but about purpose. He started giving speeches to students in inner-city schools. He donated millions to after-school programs. He launched fitness initiatives to help kids get active, not just for muscle, but for mental clarity and discipline. He often said, "The worst thing you can do is think small. Train your body, yes, but also your mind, your vision, and your belief in yourself." He didn't talk down to people, he talked with them. As someone who had been broken, doubted, misunderstood, and who still rose, he spoke publicly about mental health, about the pressures of expectation, and the importance of therapy. Even as a symbol of toughness, he was never afraid to say, "Even I need help sometimes." That's what made it powerful. Because true strength is not hiding your pain. It's having the courage to heal out loud. He wasn't perfect. He made mistakes. But instead of hiding from them, he learned from them. Instead of pretending to be a superhero, he became something greater, a human who never gave up. And in doing so, he reminded all of us, you don't need to be born great. You just need to build yourself brick by brick, rep by rep, choice by choice. Behind every success story are failures the world never sees. Arnold had them, too many of them. After his Mr. Olympia wins, he tried launching a bricklaying business in California. It failed. When he first entered acting, casting directors mocked his name, his body, and especially his accent. One told him bluntly, "No one will pay to hear a bodybuilder speak like a machine." Even after Conan, the Barbarian, and the Terminator became hits, several of his movies flopped at the box office. Critics called him a stiff one-note actor. Studios doubted him. Friends advised him to stick to action roles only. Later, when he became governor of California, the criticism got worse. Papers wrote headlines like, "Muscles don't fix politics." He was mocked for every policy misstep, For every moment of silence during a press conference, he could have quit. He could have gone back to fame, fitness, and comfort. But he didn't. Why? Because Arnold had trained something even stronger than his body, his ability to lose, learn, and lead again. He once said, "Every time I fail, I'm one rep closer to success. I just don't stop showing up." That's the mindset of champions. He never let failure define him. Instead, he used it as a mirror to refine his strategy, rethink his habits, and rebuild himself. Each mistake became a teacher. Each loss became fuel. He didn't aim to be perfect, he aimed to keep growing. And that's the lesson here. You don't fail when you fall. You fail when you refuse to rise again. There's a reason Arnold seemed unshakably even when the world threw chaos at him. It wasn't just muscles or movie fame, it was mindset. Arnold didn't just train his body, he trained his mental habits with discipline few could match. Every morning, he followed a strict routine. Early rise, cold shower, goal visualization, and then work before most people were even awake. He didn't just dream big. He reminded himself daily why those dreams mattered. He once said, "The mind is the limit. As long as the mind can envision the fact that you can do something, you can do it." When people insulted him, he didn't react. He trained his focus to be outcome-driven, not ego-driven. If a scene took 40 takes, he did 40. If a political meeting ran late into the night, he stayed present. Arnold's mental strength came from three powerful patterns: repetition over perfection. He believed repetition rewired confidence. Silence over reaction. He rarely argued. He listened, learned, and then responded with action. Gratitude over stress. Even at the peak of pressure, he would remind himself, "This is what I once dreamed of. I'm living it now." That mindset made him bulletproof. When others complained, he planned. When others feared rejection, he faced it. Fame is a double-edged sword. It gives you a platform but also puts you under a microscope. When Arnold Schwarzenegger reached global stardom, he wasn't just a bodybuilder or actor anymore. He became a symbol of power, of ambition, of the American dream. But behind the spotlight was a man still dealing with pressure, doubt, and responsibility. He once revealed that even during the height of his success, he struggled with feeling misunderstood. People saw the muscles, the blockbusters, the confidence but few, saw the long nights, the loneliness, the constant fear of slipping. Every movie wasn't just a film, it was a test of relevance. Every political speech wasn't just a message, it was a balancing act of public expectation. Arnold admitted, "The higher you go, the harder the wind blows." And yet he stayed grounded. He leaned on simple tools, journaling his thoughts every morning, walking alone to reflect and reset, visiting the gym, not just for fitness but for mental clarity. Because no matter how loud the world became, he kept returning to his roots. Discipline, simplicity, and gratitude. He never blamed critics. He didn't play the victim. Instead, he used pain as fuel to keep growing. Legacy isn't built in front of cameras. It's built in quiet moments when no one is watching. As Arnold Schwarzenegger grew older, his focus shifted from muscles to mindset, from competition to contribution. He began speaking more openly about the importance of giving back to communities, to the environment, to the next generation. His nonprofit work, including after-school programs, Special Olympics support, and climate advocacy, reflected a deeper mission. Service is the rent we pay for our time here on Earth. For a man once defined by physical strength, his greatest power now became influence not in movies or politics, but in hearts and minds. He didn't want to be remembered just as a champion or celebrity. He wanted to be remembered as someone who showed what's possible when discipline meets kindness, when vision meets humility. Arnold started sharing his failures publicly, his regrets, his doubts, his broken moments, not to gain sympathy but to show people they're not alone. In doing so, he became more than a role model, he became relatable. From a poor Austrian boy with a dream, to a global icon with scars and wisdom, his journey teaches us something timeless. No matter where you come from, no matter how hard it gets, if you stay disciplined, stay honest, and stay in motion, you don't just chase a dream, you become. He didn't just lift weights, he lifted generations. He didn't just win trophies, he rewired what was possible. Arnold Schwarzenegger's story is no longer just his. It belongs to every person who felt small, every child who was told, "You're not enough," every dreamer in a tiny village staring at the stars, wondering if the world will ever hear their name. This wasn't about muscles, it was about mindset. It was never just about the Mr. Olympia title. It was about mastering your own internal dialogue, the voice that says, "You can't," and answering it with, "Watch me." He didn't wait for perfect conditions, he didn't seek approval. He chased clarity, not comfort, courage, not consensus. And what did he teach us? That your background is not your boundary, that your accent is not your anchor, that your failures are not your final form, that no one gets to decide your worth. Not critics, not culture, not even circumstance. What if he had listened to those who laughed at his dreams? What if he believed that Hollywood wasn't ready for a bodybuilder with an Austrian accent? What if he settled for a good life?